Hello, everyone. Welcome to Allianz Joy. It is great to see you today. In this episode, we're going to talk about our joints and bones and daily things that we can do to hurt ourselves. And you are probably somebody that knows somebody that is suffering from a little pain, neck, back, shoulders, joints, knees, etc., etc. We're going to talk a little bit about the daily things that might cause that pain. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of yoga today. I love yoga. I have done and taught yoga for decades and really love it. And sometimes just like to play the benefits by you and talk to you about all these good things that come with practicing yoga. I am Elian Haan, and I am a midlife and transformation coach in Texas, originally, of course, from Europe. So it's great to have you here. You might have been watching this show before, maybe not. I practice coaching all over, virtual and in person, and practice yoga and Tai Chi all over the web, the internet, and in person. It is great to have you here today on Win Win Women TV, and of course on the other channels that you can find our shows. So let's dive a little bit into this topic of today, the normal, the easy things that we can do to hurt ourselves and the things that happen every day, maybe to you as well, and we don't even realize it, right? We are sometimes, in the first place, we are sometimes carrying extra weight. And if you carry a backpack for a long time, or you carry a purse always on the same shoulders, but it's always really, really heavy, then that is kind of like bringing you out of alignment, putting you out of your posture, your good alignment. And that is just one way of really hurting your back, your shoulders, ultimately your hips, your knees, your ankles, and your feet. If you are having a wrong posture, I am always talking about good posture. If you are not really aligned, if you don't really have good posture, and keep your shoulders open and keep looking up, as I always say, right? That's where it all is. Keep your heart open. If you don't really stand up straight and don't keep good posture, then having that hunch forwards or having to carry a really heavy bag and carrying extra weight on your shoulders or on your back might not really be good for your posture, right? It might, and for your joints, it might cause inflammation and all your hands, your joints, there might be stiffness, there might be swollenness, there might be problems with your shoulders, etc., etc. So if you have more than 4 pounds that you really, really usually carry, try to do it on both sides and carry it on one side and on the other. So that helps a little bit because you are dividing that weight a little bit, right? Especially when you carry that every day. Another thing that we don't realize that we do so much now is really leaning over our laptops and leaning over our gaming consoles and leaning forwards into this texting, right? So if you're texting a lot and if you're leaning over to your laptop a lot and typing a lot, that might also cause inflammation and it might not be good for your muscles, your neck, right? Right here, the shoulders between your ears between your shoulders, right? That happens a lot. We keep a lot of stiffness and we keep a swollen and painful neck. And it's very, very unhealthy to be in these positions for a long time. And you can feel that. It really feels bad in the first place if you sit a lot too much, right? We know that. I talk about that a lot. How to sit up straight, how to stand up in the right posture, alignment, and also sitting and leaning forwards into that texting mode or into the computer, um, typing, right? Typing on your laptop might just cause you a lot of stiffness and pain in neck and joints and in the shoulder, of course. So if you do that a lot, then try to do the opposite and walk around and stretch out and start kind of like stretching your hips a little bit forwards, leaning back a little bit over to stretch your shoulders and your neck. And I give you just some stretches that you can do in a little bit, right? If you are, another thing is if you're walking on high heels a lot, oh my, it's beautiful and it's so wonderful and it feels so good to walk on high heels. It feels so elegant and sexy and charming, right? But it's really not good for our knees, our ankles, and ultimately our hips because all that is all stacked up in alignments and has to be in the perfect line, right, going up. And so if we are wearing high heels a lot, then of course you get really painful feet. Of course, it's not good for your toes, right? And the little joints and the little bones in your feet. And so right there it starts, and at some point you might really have problems with your feet, your ankles, and maybe even into the knees. So having high heels is not a very good option if you always do it. Walk bare feet a lot and get the heels stretched out and get the Achilles tendon stretched out. That is a really good thing to do if you wear high heels a lot. On the same note, if you are wearing the wrong shoes, and especially if you're doing a walking job or you're standing a lot, you're moving a lot, and you're walking or working on your feet for work, right? If that is what you do, and you do not change out your shoes frequently, then that might cause pain as well. So the best thing is if you are doing a standing or a walking job, to switch out shoes a couple of times a day, even once or twice a day, definitely. Or again, to just throw them off and at home, do some foot circles and stretches for your feet and ankles. It's really important to do so. And it might help you keep that flexibility and keep that fluid between the joints and so forth, right? That is really important that we are keeping up with um, with that alignment and doing the opposite of what we're doing the whole day. And that is why stretching and yoga can be so important and can contribute so much to your health. And if you're not aware of that, and most of the time these little things we're not even aware of. We are not aware that we wear in the purse, or we're doing the heels all the time, and that over the long term really causes damage to the joints and to our bones, to our skeletal system, to our muscles, and to maybe contribute to stiffness, maybe contribute to back and shoulder pain. If we're not aware of that, and if we're just creating a little awareness, if we're not aware of it, that slips in, right? And so if I create a little bit awareness for that, and you are like, oh yeah, I do that all the time, I need to kind of offset that, then I am happy, because then you start noticing that, and then you can do the other thing. The same thing is if you are having a muscle job, for instance, right? If you're doing heavy carrying and you lift things off the floor the wrong way. So you pick them up and you hinge from your hips. You put a lot of pressure on the lower back and on the hamstrings that way, on the back of your legs. And if you bend your knees and you do it right and you have worked out and you're just working to strengthen your legs, then that helps you carry it and lift something off the floor the right way. So doing it right is really important too. Because if you're doing the wrong movement all the time, then slowly again, in an unconscious way, right? In the beginning, we don't notice it. It kind of slips in that ultimately you might have pain in a certain area, and that is related to that work or related to that walking that you did for such a long time. Let's say that you're always getting in a truck, right? You're driving around delivering, or let's say that you're always doing plumbing work. That might be something that you're always going to the floor for your job. It's what you professionally do, but you might notice that you always use the same leg. You're always getting down on that right knee or always getting to the floor on that left knee. And if you do consistently the same, you always step into the truck the same way. And if that creates ultimately pain in your knees or in your hips or in your ankles, then that is just that might be because you have done that for so long and you weren't aware of it, right? You didn't really offset it with the other side. So that happens a lot. One of the common things that we also are not always aware of, but that cause back pain, is if we're sleeping on our stomach. And if we're sleeping on our stomach, it's not so good for the rest of your body. It's just kind of like pushing your tummy and your head back, and it compresses your spine, and especially in the part of the lumbar spine, right, the lower back. And there's a lot of compression when you are sleeping on your stomach, and ultimately that might lead to some back pain. And you didn't know that, maybe, it always felt so good. And if you're becoming a little bit aware of it, and you can kind of change the position to where you are more comfortable in other ways sleeping as well, then that would be very good for you. If you're skipping on exercise in general because of all these things, and pain slips in your body due to your profession, due to a lot of driving, due to too much standing or walking and not changing your shoes, due to carrying heavy things, but you didn't lift them up correctly, or you always wear it on the same side. All these things that I just mentioned might contribute to pain over time. And what we forget, or what we didn't do, was the strength training and the flexibility stretching, the flexibility training that was really necessary for us to keep our body and our system going. Because it's so important that if we are aware of it, we're creating this awareness of what we're doing, that way you can also start to offset it or to make it easier or to make it better with a more flexible body. And if you have a more flexibility, if you feel that flexibility, if you feel that stretching and it takes away the pain, then that is one of the benefits, for instance, of the practice of yoga. And the practice of yoga, like I always say, does not have to be for very young, flexible people in the first place, right? It is a practice that hopefully will help you become more flexible and will help you become an increase in mobility, become more flexible, easygoing. But that is definitely one of the benefits. But it does not have to be for people that are already flexible or already able to bend over to their toes, right? I get that a lot. Like, oh, I can do that because I cannot even touch my toes. Well, this is one of the things that you slowly have to start, very easy. And it does not have to be, like I said, the Instagram yoga that we see, right? We don't have to stand, immediately on our head. We don't have to, uh, do difficult poses or just go down to the floor and up all the time. It can be a really gentle form of yoga that you might want to start with. But the biggest benefit of what you're doing with these stretches that are supposed to be, again, for everybody, right? Is yoga should be accessible for everybody. And really, that's why I say two words: everybody, everyone who thinks I'm not flexible, I'm not mobile enough, I just can't do that yet, I am just so intimidated by it. Please don't be, and reach out to me, because there's many, many ways to start your gentle yoga or even your chair yoga practice. And I have done many, many shows and many videos on that. And I can help you and give you information on how to find the right people, the right way, the right videos to start with a really gentle practice, even if you want to do it at home. Even if you want to find me on YouTube, you find those yoga stretches on YouTube, do it with me. It will increase definitely your flexibility and your balance. It helps by stretching and strengthening these muscles. And it's so important that we do that every day. I always joke a little bit and say a down dog a day will keep the doctor away, but it's really true. If you are just able to do a couple of stretches once or twice a day, and definitely before you're gonna do some strength training or cardio training, right? Just first kind of loosen it up and do some really relaxing stretches in order to warm up, to become a little bit more flexible before you're going into something. You're also creating that mind body awareness, because yoga really means union of the mind and body. The word stands for that union. The word stands for taking a gentle journey in yoga. It's not a destination. You don't have to do this or that. You don't have to be perfect at anything. It is just a very easy way to start. And for everybody, it might be different, because every body, again, is different, right? So you might experience different results. You might feel a different way. But it's definitely good for your mind. It is definitely reducing stress and anxiety, because it promotes that relaxation. It promotes that mindfulness. So you really feel that you're just calmer and more relaxed after, hopefully, the yoga session. Maybe the first time, not so much, but maybe when you get into it and you start understanding the journey of yoga and what it does for you, then you definitely start seeing those benefits. Another one is that you definitely can increase in strength and muscle tone, right? Because it builds strength while you're doing poses and definitely while you hold them. So you can see that in your shoulders, you can feel it in your arms, and definitely your legs and your core. We use the core muscles a lot, right? We just really have to rely on on that center strength of our abs to protect our back. And this in most cases of exercise, but that is definitely something that you will experience doing and practicing yoga. So practice in a gentle way and try to start in a very easy way. And you will feel these benefits. You will feel that increase of strength and that increase of flexibility. Another thing that yoga will definitely do for you is that you will sleep better. A regular yoga practice has definitely been proven to improve the quality of your sleep, the duration of your sleep, so you'll get a good night rest. And who doesn't like a good night rest? It's very important. And then, of course, any exercise and even yoga, so it will improve your cardiovascular health, certain types of yoga, and especially when you get into it and you become more into you're more into your practice and you become more familiar with the poses and the way yoga is practiced, then you might go into a power yoga or a vinyasa class. And that is definitely more of a go, go, go. And you really feel that increase of heart rate and that increase of cardiovascular health. So that is a very important thing as well. And then, of course, all that mobility and all that flexibility will just reduce inflammation in our body. We just definitely have to keep moving, especially when we get older. It is so important to keep everything moving. And it might be a little painful sometimes, but we want to work through it because of that inflammation, right? It only gets worse if we don't move, especially with arthritis, especially with an onset of these chronic problems, lower back, hips, right, knees, shoulders. It is definitely important to keep trying and to keep moving. And I hope that if you practice yoga, you definitely feel that mental clarity. You definitely feel that you are out of this hectic, stressful, anxiety world for a little bit, and that you feel calm, relaxed, and a lot better so that you get a lot better sleep. It's very important to see all these physical things. There's a lot more benefits, but this is just a short overview for you today. I hope you can really try to find a place where you can practice yoga. If it's online with me, anybody else, there's lots of videos and classes out there. Always practice safety first, right? That's really important. I am always about practicing safety first. It is so important that you start being very careful and don't try to do those crazy poses yet if you do not know how to exactly execute them. So ask and then try it for yourself. But just if you're sitting, if you're rolling your shoulders every day, that's just how you want to start the day. If you're standing, just or sitting, just reach sideways with your ear to your shoulder and you feel that wonderful stretch in your neck. You can roll a little bit forwards, right? It's so good. And you see all these, all these necks, right? And you can feel the shoulder roll, right? You can do big stretches all the way up so that you can get these really nice big stretches into your upper back, into your shoulders, into your arms and upper body. So that feels so good. And you want to stretch your lower back? Then just hang out forwards. If you're sitting, scoot all the way up forwards into the chair. If you're standing or if you're sitting, try to touch your toes because it's so good for your back. And we got to keep stretching our back. The last thing before you go to bed and when you get up in the morning, just kind of push your hips gently forwards, just a little bit out forward so that you feel that stretch in the hip flexors over the front. And that is so important because we do sit a lot. We do sit a lot. And that's just a sign of the times, right? A little bit more than normal. So that's why we have to offset that with wonderful exercises. So I hope that I helped you create some awareness about the things that we normally do without thinking, the way we pick up stuff, the way we reach out for things, the way we lift and pick up heavy stuff. We want to just be really more aware of how we do it. If it's always on the right side, try the left side, right? Try to offset it a little bit and do your stretches to keep your body healthy. We're all about healthy bodies. We're all about getting older with healthy, flexible bodies that we can keep mobile and we can keep moving. Very important to live as long as we can without that pain. And just kind of keep pushing that pain away. And if you are suffering from chronic pain, don't be afraid to reach out, but you can exercise. You don't have to sit down. You can exercise. It's very important to remember that. So I hope you will reach out. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching today. I am very happy to see you here. Very glad to have you today on the show. Ask me questions afterwards and stay for a little bit. And otherwise, find me again next week. Find me on YouTube and on elianhaan.com. So thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate it. Namaste. Till next week. Bye.